First up, this is Karen Gibson, our Deped, speaking to Rammstein.
The Metal Hammer Really exclusive interview.
I guess the first question everyone's wondering, it's been quite a long time since the last Rammstein album, and you've done your own material since then in Evergreat.
Yes.
Was there ever any doubt that there would be another Rammstein album?
Yeah, there was a lot of doubts, like especially going through this process of dealing with the band again, which was one of the most difficult things for me to go back, after especially going through, my own things and, dealing with my own little project and just forgetting about the pain and suffering that we always go through when we do something, and because Emigrate was such a different experience, and then coming back to Rammstein, going back into the deep hole of pain and suffering and frustration and feeling miserable and all those kind of feelings. It was really tough, especially after doing 3 records in a row without playing live. It was just for me really difficult to do another record. My first instinct was when I saw the guys after 2 years, let's do a tour. Let's just go touring. We haven't toured for Rosenrot. I did my record. I haven't toured because that was the deal with the band, and just do a tour right now. But everyone felt like the other guys felt maybe we should do a record. We haven't done a record, but it was more in the way that those guys thought of that's how it was done in the past. You do a record, you go on tour. So my view was more fuck, the world has changed. We can go on tour without actually having a record. There was a lot of discussion going back and forth, and then after a while I kind of felt comfortable of doing a record. And then when we just went in and we had those ideas of making this record, which was only in our head, and when we realized we were back in the rehearsal room when we came to do actually work, that was quite difficult, and because we went this direction, and we totally got lost after a while. And it was really tough, to actually on this record to come back to what is Rammstein actually, what is it about, because we were moving so far away from the roots that we had, that we all constantly had to kind of look, okay, is this something that Rammstein actually is, or do we somewhere else? And after a while, I've always felt totally lost. I didn't know if this song that we had were good or bad or whatever. I just lost the connection until recently, actually. Until we played this record to people, to the audience, to first to friends, obviously, then to media, and all of a sudden, the response was so unexpected, so great, that I was like, really? I was amazed by their appreciation,
Mm-hmm. That's good. Were you worried that the world might not want another Rammstein album? Was that one of your concerns? As you say,
we never reconsider. No, we never think about this thing. I mean, if this thoughts I had, does the world need another Richard? That was something I did when I did my Emigrate record. But with Rammstein, we always felt really secure about, we wouldn't give a shit about what the world expecting us. There was never the energy that we have with Rammstein. Rammstein does always has something really internal, introverted mostly, and more about how's the situation in the band, how we get along, how we can write, how is their chemistry, and those kind of things, getting in touch with our own darkness and our own demons that we have, and all those things, our egos. I always describe Rammstein as the lifetime therapy that you have to go through, because you deal with all those different character, in yourself and with the other guys. It's just it's always painful. I just realized after this record, there will never be a Rammstein that will be easy, because there won't be a Rammstein record. Rammstein goes through this painful process, and that's the way it is. And and everyone has to kind of accept it, because that's the way that we deal things. And as older you get, as more time you need between those working situation off, you know. And to me, it's really necessary that I move away, you know, to just recover.
Yeah.
It's like basically like, you know, like going to Berlin and being on drugs for months, you know, and then you have to go back. It's just like I have to be sober for like 40 days, you know.
Mm-hmm. So who approached who when it was time to get together again?
Say again?
Who approached who? Which band members got together first, and who convinced the others to get involved?
I think we all got together by the management. We all, like, the management said, like, you know, let's know what's going on, what's the first ideas, and so then we got together, and, you know, we didn't really agree in the beginning on something, and then after a while, you know, we said, okay, let's do a record, and then we had different stages. I can't even like start to begin. And when we started, like time-wise, I don't even know anymore. It's such a long time ago. We started somewhere like in the first period of this record was like we rented like a really small house, and we basically what we did. The living room was so small that we couldn't bring all the equipment, so we had just electro drums and really small amps, and then that was actually the most creative time we did there. We started to just like write riffs and like stuff, like really small things, and recorded everything. You know, we had this thing called Kruspe in the morning, which is like the early exercise that we do, and just jamming, and we just recorded things, and we had like, I don't know, like a couple of hundred riffs and ideas, and we never really put time to make actually songs out of it. And then after we started to try to put everything into the computer, which was the biggest mistake because it took a lot of time. There was a lot of frustration to bring back the mood because all of a sudden everything was in the computer, and then we kind of got lost in the process. And then I remember that we went somewhere else. It was really, really bad. The first time a producer came and he was like, "Oh, I don't think that's gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen." And then slowly but surely, you know, we really lost our confidence, you know, and we really, that was one of the most difficult times in the history of the band. You know, everyone shut down and nobody really felt good about their record, and then we went away again, and then we changed again, and slowly but surely, you know, the things came back. You know, we changed certain things. We were like working in groups more than like with the whole band together, because, you know, some people didn't feel comfortable with the others, and, you know, we really tried to navigate, you know, through the whole mood change, basically.
What was the turning point? How did you overcome all your difficulties in the studio?
Say again?
What was the turning point? How did you overcome all your difficulties when you were recording?
The turning point, like, when it became...
when you were unsure of yourselves and then you suddenly got your confidence...
I mean, the turning point, again, like I said, like when we started to put everything in the computer was for me the situation where I felt like, we shouldn't do it. We shouldn't like really go back, you know, and play the songs live. You know, we should not bother with like putting everything in the computer. That was like for me the point where it's like, you know, something goes wrong here. You know, but sometimes but then I left for New York and I came back and things had changed, and then. Like for me, the turning point when it actually came back to life, when we actually went again to play the songs live. There was a situation where I felt like, wow, that's like what has to happen again. Like, you know, we have to play live, and yeah, but it was really difficult. But then again, like, you know, for me, like especially on this day, even like when we went into the studio, I mean, like I know we had a good sound. I know like I would give like 100%, like, you know. Like how everything will sound, but I wasn't sure about are the songs that good. Mm-hmm. And till recent, really, I was like, I don't know. Everyone asking me about the record, I don't know. I just really lost the connection. And when people always said, "Wow, you really have," they're thinking of one of the best records from Rammstein. And I was like, really? I'm really still surprised that we came out with something